So there comes a time when you're going through a challenge where you have to ask yourself, have you gone too far? Has the experiment gotten out of hand? Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Scribes and Men. And now I'm going to be talking about after the fact of writing 5,000 poems. And I will preface this by saying going from volume 41 to 50 was a slog. It was the best way I can explain it. It was like climbing a uphill mountain. It was like rock climbing, but every single one got harder and harder and harder and harder as you're going up the cliffs and all of that. Until you finally reach the peak, and then reaching the peak, it was its own level of madness because it's like covered in snow, ice, and juggling clowns or whatever you want to call it, who are throwing snowballs at you. I don't know. Maybe it's yetis. Who knows? But I did it. I finished the 100 Sestinas in 16 days. And the thing about that is that I wanted to do it faster. If you know anything about the Sestina, if you don't, I would recommend for you to Google it. I'm not going to break down the form, or you can look up other people breaking down the form. But if you were to just Google the Sestina, do a little bit of research. Me saying I wanted to do it faster should already be raising alarm bells. Because in my hubris, because I struggled with the villanelles. I struggled doing 100 villanelles in 10 days because I had to constantly come up with like the repeating words and rhymes and all of that like fit the whole architecture of a villanelle. So I'm like, man, this is a struggle. This is a slog. This is, the Sestina will not be this bad, is what I said to myself in my hubris. The Sestina I will conquer out of sheer spite and will, which I did. I did. Just not as fast as I would have liked to. And I understand the level of insanity that is coming out of my mouth right now. Now, you may ask yourself, well, how fast did you want to do the Sestina then if you thought you could do it faster? In the same time it took me to do 100 villanelles, 10 days, maybe less. I was hoping to maybe I could do this in a week, maybe 2 weeks max. Do 10 to 20 10 to maybe I could do, wait for it, 10 to 20 Sestinas a day. I realize now how psychotic that sounds. I realize now that had I actually done that, people would look at me and go, "You are unwell." And I also realize that people will look at me on what I've already done with it and go, "You are unwell." ah, and I don't know why 41 to 50, like the 41 to the 50 should not have taken the long length of time. I am able to do insane volumes of poetry in a day. Yet this felt like fighting samurai yetis on Everest each step I went up there. and the Yetis are coming at me with their samurai garb and everything, yelling their whole thing, and it's like whole epic anime battle going on down as I'm trying to get up that poetry hill, only to finally slay the last Yeti and yell a scream of victory as I rip my shirt off the top of Everest. Do with that what you will. It should have been easier. 41 to 49 had me severely questioning what my mind thought other people who aren't reading my work yet wanted to see. Oh, am I putting enough forms in this volume? Oh, am I putting enough forms in this volume? Am I doing a little too much free verse here? Am I doing a little too much here? Maybe I should add, maybe. And it kind of paralyzed me. Far stronger than it should have. And I am here going, nah. Enough of that bullcrap. That is not what we're here for. Don't worry about future whatevers. Just write, and if a new form comes up that you want to use it. Don't stress over, oh, maybe I should use this form here, or maybe I should use this form here. No. Just use whatever comes up. So I'm already dragging behind doing all of this, and I'm kind of beating myself up, and I'm being extremely, what's the word that I'm looking for? I'm putting myself through almost impossible expectations. Like, you're better than this. You have done this faster. You're going to be hitting the halfway point here. You need to get to the Sestinas. You need to do the Sestinas. You need to do the all while, like, so a lot of struggle was happening. Internally, externally. I was tired. I was exhausted. I was, in some senses, burning out. Because, when you're working up to 5,000 poems, you are going to reach moments where you do burn out. I'm still going, obviously. I have a challenge to complete. Like, you think I'm going to stop after doing? No. I'm going to have, possibly 300 poems done by the end of the... It still is fine. It's fine. I just have to play a bit of catch-up. It's fine. It's fine. Anyways, when it comes to the Sestinas, there are a few rules I gave myself. 1, I had to experiment with the Sestinas. 2, all the Sestinas, and I mean all the Sestinas had to rhyme. 3, I had to do 100 of them because every volume is 100. 4, the last one needs to be a double Sestina done in the style of Swinburne, so his pattern and all that for his 12 by 12 by 6 Sestina. So basically we're looking at 150 lines for the double Sestina. But wait, there's more. Not only did I have to do this 12 by 12 double Sestina rhymed, not a problem, A, B, all the way down for the first 12, and we're good to go. It should not have been a problem. However, I am unwell. I am called the Mad Poet for a reason. When it comes to poetry, am a little bit of a psycho. I decided, no, it can't just have a rhymed double Sestina. No. That, she's too easy, I told myself. Too easy. It must be in order to properly break and become the King of Sestinas, despite doing 99 of the other Sestinas, 2 of which were pentaconstraint mono-rhymed Sestinas. Go see my pentaconstraint video on that one, and then instead of the rhyme that I show in that video, imagine it's mono-rhymed. The thing I told myself I'd do was an acrostic. Swinburne rhymed double Sestina. But not just any acrostic. No. It had to be a busokusekika. It had to fit 150 characters. So I had to intricately craft a poetic busokusekika, which is essentially stands for Buddhist footprints, was put on the graves of like the Japanese like gravestones way before a lot of Japanese things started happening. It's a huge kind of like there. Anyways, I decided that no, these forms also need to live, and so I decided to start using them because I find them interesting. Anyways, I mean, can I do them as accurate as Japan can? No, but anyways, that's besides the point. I decided it had to be one of these poems, 150 characters, going whoop all the way down, one letter at a time, the double Sestina. Which it did. I finished it. Obviously, it is done. You can go and read it right now in Volume 50. Volume 50 is available to read. I would not recommend listening to it. I'm like listening. You can listen to it if you want, but I would not recommend it for various reasons. A lot of reasons was reading it also got to me. Anyways, I created it. It was rhymed. I had to be very strategic on how I was going to, and there were times when I forgot, oh crap, right, I have to change this letter out for this letter, and so I'm going to need to either add a word here or take out a word and like shift things so that it properly flowed through the acrostic, which you can read in Volume 49. The acrostic that I used, the poem that I used is in Volume 49. I highlight it in Volume 49. If you see a busokusekika in Volume 49, and it's 150 characters, it's that one. That's the one I used. So, I used that. I threw it into the double Sestina, and I rhyme it. After I had already written not 1, not 2, not 3, not even 4. No. After I had already written 7 Sestinas for the day. Excuse me. So I've written 7 Sestinas for the day, and I decide, looking at 10 p.m., it's 10 p.m. This should take me but 2 hours. I did not finish until 2 a.m. in the morning. Painstakingly making sure every line hit the acrostic, every line hit the rhyme, every line followed the pattern, because the pattern of Swinburne's double Sestina is not like a regular Sestina or even a potentially what you would think a double Sestina should be. No, his thing is completely different. Let me tell you something. But it's done. It's not the most elegant, beautiful, sing-songy Sestina, double Sestina out there like Swinburne's perhaps is. But that wasn't the point. The point was, to what level of insanity my own insanity and the poem's insanity, can I take and break this form and still make it work by the rules defined? And I successfully did. Am I still haunted by it? Yes. Would I try another double sestina without an acrostic? Yes, but in the twilight times, in the night time, and that is going to be after November, when all is said and done, and I start working on other things at a much slower pace, where I can finally relax, because this is me pushing myself to my utmost limits. I did, however, invent a new form while I was going from 41 to 50, and that is the pendulum crossbind. It is available, I believe, on the YouTube posts, on Instagram, TikTok, all of that. It shows how the pendulum crossbind works, the rules, everything, all of that. And maybe I'll do a video on that at some point when I write a volume on it or whatever, but not yet. But I still created my third new form, which is the pendulum crossbind. I discovered a new form, which is the pendulum, because that's how I discovered I couldn't name it the pendulum, because there was already a poetry style called the pendulum. So I was like, okay, fine, the pendulum crossbind, screw you. But yeah, I did all that insanity, finished the insanity, and here I am going down the mountain, finally, because everything now is going to be easier than what I had set out to do. Volume 60 is going to be ballads. Volume 70 is going to be the rondeau. Volume 70, pantoum. Volume 980 is, 60 ballads, 70 rondeau, 80 pantoum. Volume 90 is either going to be ghazal or terzarima. And then volume 100, I am capping it with sonnets. I've reached the zenith. It is time to make my way down. And then I will enter into the night and focus on actual poetry books, themed poetry books. So I have one on yokai, one on elementals, one on something else that I haven't figured out quite yet. Maybe it's 2 on yokai. Who knows? I'll see what I get there. And they're going to be, so there's going to be one poetry book dedicated to yokai, one poetry book dedicated to elemental things. And then one poetry book will be probably dedicated to something else. I don't know. There's probably going to be ones also dedicated to specific forms that I haven't done during this challenge. So anything that I haven't done 100 of, I will probably do volumes of those. So say I didn't do a volume of 100 Decima Espinellas, there will be a volume in the twilight time or the nighttime era of my poetry journey where I will be doing those. Just so you kind of get a future glimpse on where my mind is working right now. But yeah, that was my experience. I would not recommend anyone sane of mind to do what I did at the speed of which I did, let alone the quantity of what I did. But yeah, if I haven't demonstrated enough as to why I call myself the Mad Poet, and now the King of Sestinas, those are 2 titles that can now be placed on me. With that being said, I will see you guys for another one of these when I've completed the next 1,000 videos, which will probably be sometime near the end of June. Bye. Oh, yes, I'm speedrunning this because I have to. Bye.